All right. Good morning. It's Thursday. It's our last day of learning about the feudal pyramid. Today we have peasants. Peasants is the last and the bottom level. And within peasants, we're also going to talk about serfs. Serfs are like a kind of peasant, but not exactly the same. Today, the reading is only focused on peasants, but I'm going to talk about the difference between peasants and serfs today. Just so you know, I'm going to upload tomorrow's assignment today, just as like a view only, so you can start to get a head start on it if you want. Tomorrow's assignment, we're going to take what we did all week, and I'll show you right now. We're going to take what we did all week, and we are going to pretend we are one of the lower levels on the feudal pyramid, either a serf, a peasant, or a lord or a noble, and we're going to ask a higher level for movement up the pyramid. So if we're a serf or a peasant, we're going to be writing to a lord, and if we're pretending we are a lord or a noble, you're going to be writing to a king or a queen. You could also do a knight if you want, but I just listed these three. So if you want to do a knight, it's pretty much the same. It's the same instructions, just from the knight's perspective, which you can certainly do on your own. It's just not listed. So this is the assignment. You can read it. I'm not going to read it now. I will read it tomorrow for tomorrow's assignment. There's also some samples that I will read for you right now. I'm only going to read them for you in this instructions video because I don't want to leave them up there in case anyone gets lazy and decides just to copy and paste stuff. I'm just going to take that temptation away from you. So let me read you three samples. Let me read you three sample. Well, no, I lied. Let me read you the peasants section first. So if you want to read along with the peasants section of the chapter, go ahead and open up your chapter or just look on this screen. It's a pretty short one. All right. Most people during the Middle Ages were peasants. They were not part of the feudal relationship of vassal and lord, but they supported the entire feudal structure by working the land. Their labor freed lords and knights to spend their time prepping for war or fighting. During medieval times, peasants were largely classified as free or unfree. These categories had to do with how much service was owed to the lord. Free peasants rented land to farm and owed only their rent to the lord. Unfree peasants, called serfs, farmed the lord's fields and could not leave the lord's estate. In return for their labor, they received a small plot of land of their own to farm. The daily life of peasants revolved around work. Most peasants raised crops, tended livestock, farm animals, but every manor also had carpenters, shoemakers, smiths, metalworkers, and other skilled workers. Peasant women worked in the fields when they were needed. They also cared for their children in their homes. In addition to the work they performed, serfs owed the lord numerous taxes. There was a yearly payment called head money, which was a fixed amount per person. A lord could also demand a tax known as tallage whenever he needed money. When a woman married, her father, or her husband had to pay a fee called a merchant. Serfs were also required to grind their grain at the lord's mill, and the only mill in the village. The miller kept a portion of the grain for the lord and for himself. Lords could keep any amount they wanted. Serfs found this practice so hateful that some of them hid small hand mills in their houses. Most peasants lived in small houses or small houses of one or two rooms. A typical house is made of woven strips of wood covered with straw or mud. Peasants had little furniture or other possessions. There was a hearth fire in the middle of the main room, but often no chimney, so it was dark and smoky inside. The entire family might eat or sleep in one room, and sometimes that also sometimes housed their farm animals. Peasants ate vegetables, meat such as pork, and dark, coarse bread made of wheat mixed with rye or oatmeal. During the winter, they ate meat and fish that had been preserved in salts. Herbs were used widely, in part for flavor, and also in part to lessen the taste of salt or to disguise the taste of meat that was no longer fresh. So it seems really fun. So I found this video today. No music video today. I couldn't find any music videos. But this video, I'm going to play part of it that gives you an idea of what life was like for serfs and peasants And that is the word of the day, surf. Make sure you spell it right. It's not spelled like the thing you do in the ocean with a board. It is spelled S-E-R-F, surf, and that is the word of the day. That's the day's secret word. All right, watch and enjoy this video.
The surf in the Middle Ages. Take one. Terrific. We're talking about life in the Middle Ages, so do I get to cover nobles in their castles? No. Do I get to work with a heroic knight in all that armor? No. I have to do serfs. I ask you, name one important thing that serfs did.
That's easy. The serfs kept those knights and nobles alive during the Middle Ages.
Come again?
The nobles ruled and the knights fought, but that doesn't put any food on the table, does it? No, the serfs were responsible for that. They farmed the land that the knights fought for, the land that the nobles ruled. In the Middle Ages, wealth and power was all about land. And it was the serfs and other peasants who made the land valuable by getting food from it.
Okay, stop right there for a second. You said serfs and peasants. Aren't they the same thing?
Well, there wasn't much difference in how they looked, but peasants had their freedom. Serfs were bound to the land owned by the lord.
Like slaves, huh?
Like slaves, but with some big differences. The serfs' main responsibility was to grow food for their lord, but they could grow their own crops too. Serfs could also own their own property, and a lord was supposed to protect them from raids and robbers and such. In fact, free peasants sometimes volunteered to become serfs because they wanted that kind of protection. But once they made the decision to be a serf, their children and their children's children were born serfs. And as serfs, they had to stay on the Lord's land their entire lives. They were part of the property. But when it came to a typical day, a free peasant and a serf lived just about the same life.
And that was?
Well, let's start with the serf at home. There it is, home sweet home.
Not so bad for a living room. Where are the bedrooms?
You're looking at them.
Kitchen?
Same.
Bathroom?
Just step out into the yard.
Oh.
Inside, one of the first things you'd notice was the air. It was thick with smoke because a fire was always burning in the middle of the room. The fire was for cooking and for warming the place. There was an opening in the roof to let the smoke out, but a lot of it still stayed inside. Folks thought the smoke was good for them, though. Just like smoked meat lasts longer, a smoked serf was supposed to be a healthy serf. But seriously, the smoke actually was thought to cure fevers. Their smoky clothes also helped cover up body odor, since in those days, there was no deodorant. Imagine for a minute what it's like living here. The frame of the house was made of wood, but the walls were made of nothing more than clay mixed with sticks. They called it wattle and daub. It kept out the wind, but not much else. A man could push a spear right through it. Homes were built with stone, too, if stone was a resource, and the clay mixture served as cement. The roof was made of thatch. That's a mix of straw, leaves, and grass. Looks quaint, but it was alive with bugs and bats and who knows what else. The floor was just packed dirt with some straw scattered over it. Chickens would be wandering in and out of the open doorway, along with dogs or cats and maybe even a pig or two.
So what was it like eating and sleeping in a home like this?
Let's ask the serf and his wife. How would you like it?
Every day is full of hard work for everyone in my
All
family.
right, I'm going to pause it there. I'll put this on there in case you want to watch it. It's 20 minutes, but you do not have to at all. Again, today's secret word is surf. Make sure you type that in there. Should give you an idea of how smelly and gross life was for the majority of people in the Middle Ages. Seems like they forgot everything that happened in the Roman Empire. All right, so these are the examples of the letters. I'll read them really quickly. Here's a good example. Dear Master, My name is Sam, and I am a serf who works in your manor. It is my responsibility to farm your land, to care for your animals, and gather the seasonal harvest. My wife and daughter also loyally serve you by knitting clothing to wear for both of you and your family. Altogether, my family and I have been loyally serving you for a total of 5 years, and we are grateful for the opportunity to help you in any facet of life. I am writing to you today to ask a favor of you, my lord. My family and I have struggled much of our lives, as I'm sure you are aware. For people who are in the lower echelon of society, living in the feudal system is no picnic. We do not have very many material possessions and sometimes can go days between meals. Perhaps the only benefit of feudalism is that we are so graciously protected from outside invaders by you, my lord. I'm asking that you grant my family and me a small parcel of land that we may call our own, so that we may be rid of this life of poverty and climb the social ladder to the next step. We would, of course, continue to serve you faithfully, my lord, but yearn for the opportunity to have our own land that we may call home. Please, I beg of you, consider my proposal, or my family and I might have to look elsewhere. Sincerely, Sam the Serf. So again, this is the assignment for Friday. I'm just giving you a head start on it if you want to. You're writing to a higher level on the feudal system, asking for movement up the feudal system. And you can either write a letter like I did and format it like a letter, like have the heading of the address of where you're located, of where you're writing to, and pretend to be someone. Or you can just kind of like type out a rough draft today and then just recite it on a flip grid tomorrow if you want to. So the choice is yours. I'll explain more tomorrow, but you can get a head start on this if you want. Here's another example. This one's a little funnier. And here's a bad example of what not to do. Yours should not look like this and be this short. So it should not look like this or sound like this. Dear Lord Jones, I'm a peasant in your village. I currently only have a half acre of land that you gave me, and I think I deserve more. I really don't do anything productive for you. You should give me more land, because if you do, I'll actually do some stuff for you, I promise. It would be awesome if you did. I'd become more popular in your village for sure. Let me know when you're going to give me some more land so that I can get my groove on. Peasant. You can see it's very short, doesn't include many specifics. When you look at the instructions, you'll see you should include many specifics about what you do, who you are, what your job is in society. Make sure you read these. All right, good luck. If you have any questions, Friday we'll probably do a quick Google Meet as well. All right, good luck. Let me know if you have questions.